Good morning, guys. Good morning. Good morning once again. Welcome to South Africa Lately, a channel that discusses South African trending news. We do, however, grab here and there from international news when it is trending enough to be brought here. Please do understand that I'm not a politician. I do not have deep knowledge in politics. However, I am a South African citizen who is also a voter, and I do believe that my views count when it comes to political affairs of our beautiful country. The EFF has also reacted to the budget speech of yesterday, and they're saying, you know what, Parliament is not a place where we rubber stamp anything that comes. We are going to reject that. We are not going to support any VAT increases that will make the poor suffer in this country. So we are going to hear the reaction of Julius Malema and also MAOTWE. MAOTWE is saying, you know what, this is not going to work. This is the last coffin, or this is the last nail on the coffin of the ANC. They will never recover from this. The ANC will never recover from this. As I was asking before you watch those video clips, I'm going to ask this question again. If we were to vote today after that budget speech from the top 6 political parties that we have in South Africa, who would you vote for today if we were to have elections today? And I'm talking about the ANC, Democratic Alliance, MK, EFF, ATM, IFP, or rather, let me say top 7 and Action SA. So who would you vote for? Maybe let me include Patriotic Alliance in there as well. Who would you vote for? Let me make those parties top 8. Who would you vote for if we were to have elections today? So Julius Malema is saying we are not going to support that. And MAOTWE says is the last nail on the coffin of the ANC. The ANC will never recover from this. Before I waste much of your time, please watch the video clips of the EFF reacting to that budget speech. Please don't forget to use the comment section to share your views on this. Whatever your views are, the comment section is open.
Well, this was not unexpected. They were playing tricks on us. They said 2%, but the real intention was to increase VAT with 0.5 this year and 0.5 next year, which would lead to 16%. They ran out of ideas on how to generate revenue for the state. This is not an instruction to Parliament. In terms of Public Management Finance Act, he's allowed to come and make a proposal according to Section 27 of that Act. And then we must then be allowed through committees to engage on this matter and come back and debate it here and adopt it here. We will not support any form of increase on VAT. We agree that we need to protect SRD. We agree that we need to invest in infrastructure, but let's test the reach. Let the corporate tax be increased. Let there be tax on the wealthy people of South Africa who buy buffaloes for 22 million. Those people should be made to pay and finance the social responsibilities of the state. Well, we agree that we need to make sure that the budget is balanced. We must ensure that revenue is made and that the debt is reasonable, also in terms of interest cost. But we will not agree that all of those burdens of infrastructure that we agree with should actually be put on the shoulders of the poor, of the poorest. We want the rich to pay. Let the corporate tax be increased. Let the wealthy be taxed because they've got too much money to a point where they don't even know how to spend on it. That's why they could afford to bid for buffaloes of 22 million and buy them, because they have money, they don't know what to do with it. Let's give that money into the budget and leave the poor alone.
Okay, and Parliament itself is the task now, of course, of debating and also just voting on the budget itself. As the EFF,
yes.
Will you be in support of the proposed budget here?
We will not vote in support of this budget. That's why we're saying there's going to be trade-offs. We'll participate in the Committee of Finance, where our proposals will be made. We'll lobby other political parties. There is no one here with outright majority. Today, every decision that must be taken here must be through consensus and trade-offs. So we are going to make sure we lobby other political formations to ensure that we amend the budget. And this will be an opportune moment, by the way, for Parliament to amend the budget after 16 years when the laws were changed. allowing Parliament to amend the budget. We've never used that opportunity before. Let's use it to demonstrate to South Africa that Parliament is not a rubber stamp. Parliament can amend the budget, which is not in the best interest of the poor of the poorest. We are going to make sure that as through our participation in the Finance Committee, we amend this budget and redirect the monies that want to be achieved through increase of VAT into corporate tax and taxing the wealthy ones. In terms of the law, we are allowed as this Parliament to change this budget. It was in the past 10 years or 16 years ago where we were not allowed to change the budget. But we have since made amendment to those laws, and now Parliament cannot be used as a rubber stamp. Parliament can change and amend the budget, and that's what we are going to do with trade-offs.
So he came up with 2%, wanting to test the reaction, and then he came down to effectively 1%. Because if you look at it, he says 0.5 this year and then 0.5 next year, which will ultimately take the VAT to 16%. So you are just testing the waters back then. But the budget does not give you any hope. He still comes back with the 4 pillars that he mentioned: maintaining economic stability, implementing structural reform, improving state capacity, and accelerating infrastructure investment. But when you look at this, when you unpack all this, it's still reverting back to the old. This state capacity, how do you say in the same sentence, you are saying you want to build state capability, but at the same time you are using Operation Vulindlela, which effectively says one privatization. I mean, it goes and say we need public-private partnership with Transnet. To do what exactly? Because Transnet has been doing what they're doing without any private partnership.
Okay. Well, so I mean, I hear that. And of course, a link to that is the issue of the not adjusting tax brackets for inflation, which effectively means that people will be taxed even higher. So it's another form of taxation too, right?
That is the first thing. You know, Ashraf, we've been saying that it's not necessarily wrong for government to borrow money, but borrow money to generate revenue, to use that money to create revenue generating projects so that we are able to pay. So now the government is so shrink in this small fiscal framework that they can't. We are at a point where we don't have any other alternative but to play around with numbers. You give me 350 on the left hand side, you come and fetch it on the right hand side with 16%. You've not done anything. So we've been saying, build infrastructure, have state capacity that is able to produce goods and services. You sell this to make money. And then you will see that you'll be able to fund many of these things. Now, with what, even with the VAT increase is spoken about, it's not going to achieve what he wants to achieve. The 56 billion that he's going to get from increasing the VAT is nothing compared to the money that he's looking for. Okay. And therefore, it was very unnecessary for him to increase the VAT. It's not needed. And I can tell you now, this is the last nail on the coffin for the ANC. The ANC will never recover from this.
Okay, last nail.